Does it feel like you can't turn on the TV or watch children's television without seeing SpongeBob Squarepants? Well, not only does he have over 200 episodes and multiple feature films, but there have also been numerous other animations to feature the yellow sponge and his friends from Bikini Bottom. See all of the crazy SpongeBob references in animated shows and movies. Before you watch, click subscribe. You'll join the notification squad and be the first to know of new content. Also, can you guess which movie is represented by these emoji? Stay tuned at the end to find out. Rick and Morty. While SpongeBob Squarepants was originally created for children, many adults love to watch the quirky stories and humor. Thanks to the development of Cartoon Network's Adult Swim, older fans of animation have a place to go to watch cartoons with more adult themes and humor. One of the most recent successes on the network has been Rick and Morty. The dimension-traveling grandfather and grandson have lampooned all types of pop culture with various jokes, gags, and references. That list includes SpongeBob. During a live improv session with the website Vulture, the cast and creators of Rick and Morty imagined an episode where the characters would go visit Bikini Bottom. Not only did they act out voices and scenes, but animation was actually done to showcase what the episode would look like. It featured a crazy plot featuring thousands of SpongeBob-like characters, a female Sponge character, and the appearance of aquatic superheroes from both Marvel and DC Comics. It was funny and impressive to see what they came up with by improvising on the spot. You can only imagine what a full episode would look like featuring both animated universes mixing together on a full scale. The animated short only features SpongeBob, but it would be great to see Squidward, Patrick, and Mr. Krabs join in on the fun. Alvin and the Chipmunks. The animated antics of Alvin, Theodore, and Simon were extremely popular and led to multiple sequels along with a fully animated show released on Nickelodeon. When watching the 2007 movie again, it's pretty easy to spot SpongeBob's cameo early in the film. As the Chipmunks get used to their new home life with Dave, they decide to indulge in a bunch of snacks and junk food. As they pig out on the couch, SpongeBob plays in the background. You can see a number of scenes play along with the audio from the actual episode. Even though the scene features chipmunks, who hasn't stuffed themselves full of junk food while aimlessly watching SpongeBob? The episode featured in the scene is entitled, "Have You Seen This Snail?" It follows the story of SpongeBob's desperate search for Gary after the snail has run away. Another scene features Dave waking up after falling asleep at his piano. He actually wakes up to the sound of the all-too-familiar SpongeBob Squarepants theme song. It's only fitting SpongeBob made a cameo in the movie, given they're both now Nicktoons together. Hola! Did you hear about the latest addition to our family? The Richest Español is the perfect place for all you native Spanish speakers out there. Don't speak Spanish? No problem, come on over. This is the perfect place to practice. Amazing facts, interesting people, and funny pictures. Check out The Richest Español today.
What'd you say your name was?
Neutron. James Neutron.
You look more like a Jimmy to me.
Jimmy Neutron Operation Jet Fusion. During the height of SpongeBob's popularity in the early 2000s, Nickelodeon also had another hit on its hands in the form of Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius. Jimmy Neutron originally started out as a feature film which developed into a series and lasted for 3 seasons on Nick. Along with multiple episodes, the show featured several one-hour TV movies which expanded on Jimmy's adventures. One of these movies was Jimmy Neutron Operation Jet Fusion, and it featured a pretty well-hidden SpongeBob reference. At one point in the film, Jimmy, Carl, and Sheen must dive underwater to locate a device lost in the sea. As they swim to the ocean floor, you can spot something looking very familiar in the background. It's actually SpongeBob's pineapple house sitting there in the open. SpongeBob is animated in 2D, so it was interesting to see how the pineapple home looked with a 3D design. If Jimmy had gotten too close to the pineapple home, he could have accidentally crushed it, destroying SpongeBob's happy residence. There was once rumors that a crossover episode was supposed to happen, but it never did, and this is the next closest thing we'll have to an official crossover.
I can rush faster than you!
Loud House. One of Nick's latest hits is the traditionally animated series Loud House. This show follows a young boy who lives in a house with 10 other sisters. The family always has some crazy hijinks, crazy things happening, and the characters go on a lot of adventures based on real-life scenarios. The very first episode of the series features a reference to SpongeBob and is basically like a hello to their fellow Nicktoon. The episode short features a story in which a fight over the TV lands to a power outage through the whole house. Through a series of flashbacks, we get more details on who caused the power outage and what exactly everyone was watching on TV. A quick cut to the television shows a crude drawing of SpongeBob and Patrick on the screen. Even though the illustrations are quite different than their original designs, it's pretty easy to tell what characters they're showcasing through the television. In another episode, we follow the adventures of Lisa Loud as she goes to her kindergarten classroom. If you look closely on the wall of the class, you can see a painting featuring a crab, a sponge, a star, and a squid. This is clearly in reference to the main characters of SpongeBob.
We're not related, are we?
Oh, no, not a chance. I only have just the one sister.
Good.
Phineas and Ferb. Disney and Nickelodeon often stay as separate as possible. Just like you won't see Mickey Mouse references on Nick anytime soon, Disney will rarely bring up a lot of the Nickelodeon hits like SpongeBob or the Fairy Oddparents. One big exception to this is Phineas and Ferb. The animated show followed two brothers who were incredibly smart and used their genius minds to go on crazy adventures while inventing a number of different gadgets. During an episode, Phineas, Ferb, and a few friends get stranded on an island. Phineas decides to dig in the sand so he can discover things to help build and try to find a way off the island. During one moment, he pops up with a yellow sponge and a pink starfish in his hand. Clearly referencing SpongeBob Squarepants, Phineas questions exactly what he can do with these items and throws them back down, saying it would be silly to come up with anything using those objects. Although it seems like a dig at SpongeBob, the episode was actually written by a former SpongeBob writer and it's purely in jest. It would still be awesome to see Perry go up against SpongeBob's karate skills to see what creature is more technically sound. The Simpsons. There isn't much The Simpsons hasn't covered in pop culture. On the air for 29 seasons and counting, the show was a landmark when it premiered and only got better through the years. After lampooning all types of cartoons and shows, it was only a matter of time before the yellow square named SpongeBob got animated with the yellow family named The Simpsons. There have actually been numerous references to SpongeBob on the series. Besides direct quotes about the show, a SpongeBob spoof has been animated in multiple times. During the closing credits of an episode, Lisa prays to anyone who will listen, including Jesus, Buddha, and SpongeBob.
Lisa, what are you doing in there?
Praying to Buddha, Jesus, SpongeBob. There's no time to be picky.
When the scene cuts to the heavenly clouds above, Jesus and Buddha stand there with a version of SpongeBob featuring the mouth of Bart Simpson. In another episode, a SpongeBob exhibit is seen at a museum. Lisa Simpson even shows Krusty the Clown a clip from a fake Italian version of SpongeBob where SpongeBob, donning a mustache, and Squidward interact with each other. Then both are blown up by accident as their body parts are scattered everywhere. As both shows continue to make history and continue production, you can expect to see more references on behalf of the Simpsons writers and producers.
Now let's find out who you really are. Dr. House?
Family Guy. Family Guy is notorious for lampooning and referencing other animations. This is typically done in a really inappropriate way, like their Pinocchio spoof.
Oh no, I dropped my glasses.
Anything can happen with these parodies, including dirty jokes, whole new takes on the characters, or the animation of morbid thoughts featuring various character designs. While SpongeBob is featured on Family Guy, it's in a completely friendly fashion that almost pays a compliment to the show. In an episode of the show, Peter loses his license and is forced to be driven around by family and friends. During one point, he has to be driven by Meg and rides in the back seat. Peter acts like a young child back there, complaining about having to ride with Meg and asking for some juice. Like many parents dealing with their kids, she asks if Peter wants to watch SpongeBob in the car. A flip-out screen appears and SpongeBob and Patrick appear on it singing the infamous campfire song. As a lot of people do, Peter zones out watching SpongeBob, getting entranced by the episode's songs and animation. The animation looks almost exactly like the Nicktoon. It might have even sampled the actual audio from the SpongeBob Squarepants episode. Gurren Lagann. The influence of SpongeBob has reached far beyond the world of traditional animation and network TV shows. SpongeBob's popularity can be found around the whole globe. While the style and animation is nothing like anime, many anime artists have envisioned SpongeBob in this style. One show actually made it a reality. The anime Gurren Lagann follows the stories of humans battling robots and going on a variety of adventures. The 2007 show aired on both the Sci-Fi Network and Cartoon Network's Adult Swim. The story takes place in the future, and one episode featured a character riding a giant mech into the ocean waters. As the character panics in the deck of his robot, you can see a collection of crewmates screaming as well. Look closely and there's an anime version of Squidward doing a panic scream in the background. The screenshot of the moment has become more popular than the episode itself. It's interesting to see Squidward get some of the glory usually saved for SpongeBob himself. If the series does take place in the future, it makes you wonder what Squidward is doing with these mech warriors. Why did he leave Bikini Bottom in the first place, and what's his ultimate fate gonna be?
Hey there, Knight Rider! After those bad guys, Kit!
South Park. If you're an animated character, then you've likely made a visit to South Park, Colorado. The creators of the popular Comedy Central animated show have done their take on countless animated characters through the years, including The Simpsons and Family Guy. SpongeBob is also included in this list, but not in the way you imagine. In season 16 of the show, there's an episode entitled A Nightmare on FaceTime. The episode revolves around Halloween and features a huge community dance known as the Monster Mash. Multiple cutscenes in the episode showcase characters dressed in a variety of costumes. If you look closely, you can see a character dressed as SpongeBob Squarepants near the back right corner of the room. The biggest difference with the costume is that the SpongeBob design is actually green instead of his signature yellow. It still includes the tie, suit, and square sponge shape we can easily recognize. It was a nice little homage to the SpongeBob character and a great way to cross over the shows in an appropriate way. The SpongeBob costumes appears with other pop culture designs including Batman, Harry Potter, Alice in Wonderland, Little Red Riding Hood, and the Wolfman. Futurama. The animated series Futurama is a show full of layers, multiple jokes, and a lot to take in with every episode. Set in the distant future, the show has the ability to show a whole new take on all types of things having to do with pop culture. Naturally, a future version of SpongeBob Squarepants has been featured on the show. In the episode Yo Leela Leela, the character of Leela creates a children's show for the network Nickelodeon loosely based off the popular show Yo Gabba Gabba. The show was an instant hit and it was compared to another hit show of the future, SpongeBob Squarebolts. The reference is a clear parody of SpongeBob, and a robot designed and shaped like SpongeBob is shown in the episode. What makes this reference even more special is the character holding SpongeBot. The character's name is Abner Double Deal and is voiced by Tom Kenny. Tom Kenny is the famous voice behind SpongeBob for all these years. He does so much to change his voice between Abner and SpongeBob that you can barely tell it was the same person. He basically did a parody of himself on Futurama and made a great way to connect both shows. And there you have it. What reference do you think is the funniest? Are there any we missed? Do you think they should keep making new SpongeBob episodes? Let us know in the comments section below. Don't forget to like this video, share it, and subscribe to Screen Rant on YouTube to stay up to date with our awesome videos. And the answer to the emoji quiz is... Did you get it right?